So I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Thank you, Dominic, for inviting me, and thank you to the team for organising. It's a fabulous conference. And today I'm here to talk to you about digital wellbeing and why we do digital wellbeing education in MTU in Cork. What that digital wellbeing education is and how it impacts. And first, I'd just like to briefly introduce myself. I'm a lecturer in the Computer Science Department in MTU. I lived in Fiji for a couple of years with my young family around 2008 and came back to Ireland in 2010-ish. And in Fiji, it had been an absolute digital detox. And when we came back to Ireland, there'd been an absolute digital explosion. So I had a computer science background, I had a master's, I had worked in R&D, I had, been a software engineer, a project manager. I should have been able to handle it, I felt. But I really didn't have that experience. I felt that I was really leaving my children off into the Wild West, and there was very little to support me in managing it. So I went to authority figures, both in education and in politics and wherever I could find them, and say, look, what supports are here for me? I'm finding this very difficult, and there was very little. So I decided that unless I got some kind of expertise, nobody'd be listening to my concern, and that the patronising response that I felt I was getting would be continuing. I felt people were telling me, you don't need to worry, you're a little bit over anxious, children are resilient, they might see something, but they'll be okay, they'll learn, and they're not actually up to too much. So I started a PhD in cyberpsychology in Nottingham Trent University. And I did that in the psychology department, and I was coming from a computer science department, so that was a big learning experience to start with. And in my research for my PhD, I did an analysis of how we used the Wi-Fi in MTU. At the time, we had about 12,000 staff and 1,000 students using the Wi-Fi extensively. It was 2018 to 2019, that full academic year. An absolutely huge volume of data. And what I was looking for was the pattern of behaviour, not what individual students were doing, not what individual staff members were doing, but what was the pattern of behaviour. And it's an educational institution, a university, so you would think, education, probably be education, they'd be doing that. What percentage would anybody guess of the activity was in education? Any guesses? I hear 10 up there, but it was actually about 5. 5% of the user activity was in education. And what do you think the staff and students were predominantly doing? They were predominantly doing 3 things. Any guesses what they were? Absolutely. Searching, I heard that. No, not gaming actually, but interestingly. Social media, yes, and shopping. So those were the 3 main activities, and interestingly, 3 commercial companies hosted over 70% of all the user activity on the university Wi-Fi. And what companies were those, would you guess? Amazon? Google? Exactly. Which was an inordinately big level of influence on a university infrastructure. And there's a lot of research out there that would suggest that overuse of digital technology for distraction can have a negative effect on well-being and academic performance. And when the business at hand was education, and most of the activity was in search, social media and shopping, I felt that it was likely it was in distraction. At the same time, I did a survey of the student body, about 12,000 students, and 1,000 approximately responded. And in that survey, I used psychometric tests to evaluate certain factors, things like social media addiction, smartphone addiction, FOMO, loneliness, well-being, and a number of others. And I used cut-off points to identify an indication of that factor existing for that student. And any guesses about what percentage of the students felt they were smartphone addicted? It was 2018 and 19, and so about 54%. About 54%. What percentage of the students felt their internet use was problematic? 5, very interesting. About 25% felt their internet use was problematic. About social media addiction, any guesses? 70, interesting. 30 there. 15, I heard 20, that was a good guess. And loneliness. What percentage of the students in 2018 felt their levels of loneliness was either moderate or high? Very interesting you say 60, it was 70. And what percentage of the students felt their well-being was below par? An interesting 40%. So those were very concerning results. And so I wanted to look at the relationships between the various factors that I measured. So what I did was a partial correlation network where the nodes represent the various factors and the links between the nodes represents the relationship. A strong blue link indicates a strong positive relationship. A strong red link indicates a strong negative relationship. And there's only a couple of things that I want to point out in these graphs, right? There was a distinct difference between the graph for female associations and male associations. So that's why there's two graphs. The node 2, which represents problematic internet use, is central in both graphs. It's the graph that connects well-being and loneliness to the other factors of technology use. And well-being and loneliness are both connected to problematic internet use directly in a circular relationship. 7 and 6 are linked together with a strong red relationship, which as loneliness goes up, well-being goes down, problematic internet use goes up, loneliness goes up, well-being goes down, or the other way around. And that relationship exists on both graphs. And again, there was a lot of research out there that suggested that there was a circular relationship between problematic internet use and those factors that support our well-being. Factors like nurturing human relationships, getting out into fresh air, poor sleep quality, nutrition, etc. So in MTU, we got SATLE funding, thank you HEA, to develop a workshop for staff and students so that they would have an opportunity to look at the research on the impact of technology use on well-being, to reflect on their own technology use, discuss it with their peers, and use the science of habits to make changes if they so wished. Now that was very successful with the staff and students, and we got very positive feedback on it. So we brought it to a staff academy for the Ingenium European University that MTU is involved in. Trinity, I'm sure, is involved in a European university. It's generally a collaboration of up to 10 universities to get within Europe to give their students more opportunities and advance the education that they're offering. So in this staff academy, there was a very positive response to the Reconnect workshop, and it was as a result of that response we decided within Ingenium that the first accredited module or course that we would offer as a European university would be in digital wellbeing. We would develop it as a multinational and multidisciplinary partnership and offer it to students across the partnership. As part, I was tasked to lead that initiative, and so I was reaching out to colleagues in the Ingenium partners, and one of those colleagues that I reached out to was Professor Pierluigi Sacco from the University di Annunzio Chieti Pescara. Apologies to all Italians for that. And when I reached out to him, he said, "Oh, I'm coming to Ireland. I'm going to the Creative Brain Week in Trinity College. Why don't you come up and meet me there?" So I did, and I was absolutely delighted to meet Professor Sacco, who became involved in the digital wellbeing course, but also it was a great experience being here at the Creative Brain Week, where I first learned of the idea of social prescribing and introducing creative habits for well-being. And so I thought that was a wonderful concept, and it would work really well in a multidisciplinary partnership. So we built that into our course. Okay. Point towards you. Oh, thank you. So the course then is about 24 one-hour lectures where we look at the design, development and deployment of technology in depth. We consider the business models such as the attachment economy and the attention economy, and how that has an impact on design and how manipulative design can have an impact on our use. We look at case studies on how technology affects people. We look at legislation around technology like the AI Act and Online Harms Act and other legislation. And we also do 12 two-hour labs, and these labs use creative concepts to enable students to balance their online and offline behaviours and use technology in a purposeful way that supports their well-being. I see one of my colleagues here, Louise Foote, who spoke to you this morning. She does a resilience lab for this, which is very popular with the students. We have and one of the labs I'd like to talk to you about all the labs, but we don't have time. But one of the labs that I am going to point out to you, which was contributed by a Finnish colleague, is digital storytelling. And we've been talking about stories this morning and how we use stories to make meaning in our lives and to reflect. And a digital story gives the students an opportunity to reflect on some concept, make meaning of it, and use digital technology to create it. And they do some of this work as a group to create connection, and some of this work they do individually. And I'd like to just show you one of the digital stories which one of the students created. Now, I have 90 of these from this year, and I love them all, but this is the one that I'm going to show you.
Now every single morning begins with the familiar glow. My phone lighting up before I even open my eyes. Notifications, messages, scrolling, it's all automatic now. Technology has woven itself into every corner of my life. I've learned something that finally made sense of my habits. People are creatures of routines. Apps know this. They're designed to keep me tapping, swiping, refreshing. Even when I know the notifications distract me, I still can't turn them off. My screen time tells the truth. 8 hours a day, only one of them meaningful. The rest is empty. We looked at how technology can increase loneliness, even when it promises connection. And when I reflect on my own usage, I realised I wasn't just scrolling for entertainment. I was scrolling out of habit, out of boredom, sometimes even out of stress. Instead of feeling connected, I've never felt more drained and more alone. At the same time, AI has become a daily tool for me. It helps me study, organise tasks, understand complex topics. It's great. But the more I learned, the more I realised how fragile this technology can be. AI gets things wrong, confidently. Deepfakes blur the truth, and studies show that relying on AI too much can weaken our own critical thinking. It helped me realise that society can't rely on technology to protect us. We have to build this resilience ourselves. Learning about the attention economy changed how I see apps that I use every day. These platforms aren't designed for well-being, they're designed for profit. The longer I stay, the more they earn. The algorithms don't care whether I feel anxious, distracted, or overwhelmed. They care that I keep scrolling, and this hit me harder than I expected. At first, laws like the Digital Service Act and the AI Act sound reassuring. Clear rules, accountability, safety. But technology moves too fast. Misinformation spreads quicker than any moderator can keep up with. It became clear to me that regulation can help, but it can't fully protect us. Overall, I've learned something simple but powerful. We can't eliminate the risks of technology, but we can learn to manage them through tiny habits, through awareness, through choosing what we give our attention to. I can't control how technology evolves, but I can control how I respond to it.
So that was one of our second year students in software development, Aoife O'Neill. And there's multiple digital stories that all have a slightly different perspective, and it's just a different emphasis, but are very effective in making sense of their experience online and giving them an opportunity to reflect on it and how it impacts them. So the impact of the digital wellbeing course, it's very well received by the students. They give very positive feedback and recommended that it should be embedded in the curriculum for all of our students. But it empowers them to better navigate the digital world. And a constant theme that I see in the digital stories is that their joy to recognise it's not only their own fault or a weakness in themselves that encourages them to be online as much as they do. That they recognise there's parts of the technology world that is pulling them in. And I feel that the awareness that they get from a course like this enables them to make more informed and better decisions. It also enables them to recognise their own role in technology. They'll be the leaders and they will be the people developing technology. They'll be the people making business decisions about how technology should be developed. So considering the ethics of technology development is a very important part of their education. They learn new habits to support their well-being. Some they like, some they don't like, but they're exposed to them and they can consider them. And also they learn to connect with each other because they work in groups and they're face-to-face engaging in the labs. And they're also meeting people from multiple disciplines. So next steps in terms of this course in MTU is that next year we're planning to offer a number of workshops to all first year students coming in on digital wellbeing. So we have an induction week. So every day of that induction week there'll be 3 workshops offered on digital wellbeing so that they will get a taster for this course and hopefully in the future then they'll get an opportunity to take it. Last year we delivered it as an elective that students could take as part of their programme in software development or computer science and in marketing and international business. I'm hopeful that that option will be open up to other students and other disciplines this year. We're planning to offer a course for educators, primary and secondary school teachers and community leaders as an evening course or for continuing professional development to enable them to offer it then to their students. We'll be providing resources, etc., to support that. And finally, I would love every student and every person in Ireland to receive the education. I think it's badly needed. I think it's one thing that we can do to impact society and impact well-being in our society. And it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you about it today. And thanks, Dominic, for the opportunity.
Oonagh, thank you.
Just
before you go, if people want to find out more, where do they go to look?
Well, they can contact me directly. I should have went on another. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That'd be lovely.
Thank you so much. There's so many things about what you were talking about that I really love, but one of them is that your own attention and how you followed your own attention, figured out how to get an education about it, developed the understanding, and then developed the programme in a lovely each one teach one way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dominic.